associate tourism with it, you get the Pure Michigan website, which is the state-based one. Alcona comes up strongly. Then there's this odd entity here called Discover Northeast Michigan, which isn't an entity at all. It doesn't exist. It's not registered anywhere. But someone created a nice logo and have added it to this site, and you can click through it and it really takes you nowhere. So as a state, we're not doing a very good job either. Alcona basically has two websites that you can find out more about the county. There is the county website, and then there is the Chamber of Commerce website. They're really the only two entities that have got useful information. This is the only logo or branding that exists on either of those two sites. And this, as you know, is the county flag, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't use that, but it's not a brand logo in the same way as these are. And there's no tagline that we can all embrace and start talking with the same language and the same tongue when we talk about our home county. If you actually click this logo, it will take you to a location where you can click and ask for what are the regional tourism bureaus. These are the ones that are listed. Don't ask me why M is there and A is here and T is there. I don't know. I didn't set this website up. It's not alphabetical. It's not by regional size. But in the middle here, there's an entity called Alcona County Tourism. I think, they do have a tourism bureau. Do we? No. But someone thinks we do because it's sitting on their website. Click on that one and it takes you to the Chamber of Commerce site, which is a good place for it to go because the Chamber of Commerce site has got the most information about the county to share with the outside world. Going back to the Pure Michigan, the state site, the state has got the biggest budget for tourism, and it's actually not that large compared to other states in the country. The state of Michigan is spending about $33 million a year right now on promotion of the state overall. One of their biggest publications as far as circulation is their visitor's guide, and you've probably seen it. In there, it also lists convention and visitors bureaus. Now, I'm going to come back to convention and visitors bureaus because ignore the convention side. We're not a convention destination at this point. Maybe one day we will. But that is where everything relating to tourism and visitors is referenced. I know this is too small for you to see, I apologize, but Alcona isn't even represented on here in any way, shape, or form. The entire brochure is online. I just did a search on the brochure for the word Alcona. It came up once, and it was relating to a business that actually advertised in the publication. That's pretty sad when you think about it. This is a statewide publication with a huge circulation, and we don't have any representation. That's why regionally we're getting passed over. Yeah, we're getting traffic coming up to the northeast, and that's proven by the fact that that logo exists. And the Sunrise Coast is another term that's used a lot. But again, nobody has ownership of that, but it's being used. But because we're not finding ways to get into publications like this, or to come up effectively on search engines, people are skipping over us. And they're staying in Alpena, or down in Tallis, or other locations. And yes, they might be aware of whatever we might have going on, whether it's our art fair, but they'll travel down to it from wherever else they're staying. Huge missed opportunity every time that happens. This is the county website. This is the home page for the county website. And it's, a county is a business. They're there to service the residents. So most of it talks about how you pay your water bill, emergency services and that type of thing. But the introduction, and I'm not going to read this to you, I encourage you all to go and take a look and read how the county describes itself. It's pretty poor. And again, if anybody had contributed or was involved with this, I apologize. But it isn't great. So we've got to collectively, once we get to our brand identity, find a way to work on getting all of these areas improved. Because we can't do it on our own. We've got to get the entire county to embrace what we want to do, and we've got to get the consistency across every communication vehicle that is out there so that we're all saying the same message and sharing the same brand, logo, and so on and so forth. The Chamber of Commerce website, better for what we're interested in, because it's the only source to talk about what attractions that we do have in the county. On this page, it does list what the attractions, there's a link to go to attractions. And then when you pull that up, this is what you get. This map looks like it was photocopied and then photocopied maybe 3 times and then scanned. It's blurred on the website. And there is this box here that lists 11 attractions. There's a lot more than 11. Down the bottom, there's a link that says more attractions. So I thought, okay, I'll click that. You click that, and you've got this here, which is a revolving image of different photos of the county, but no description of what each photo is at all. I mean, I don't know if I'm looking at somebody's home here. I'm not sure. I can see there's what might be a train behind there. And I'm sure you that lived here all your life know what this is, but I don't. And certainly somebody from downstate who's never been up here doesn't know what that is. The list of all the additional attractions, which is what I thought we'd find, has disappeared. And again, my discussion is not to criticize the Chamber of Commerce. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But what I'm trying to get into your heads is what a mess we're in collectively, as far as promoting ourselves and generating business. In one of those Google searches, a website called Grandma's Briefs came up. And it came up because their heading was "The Weekend I Fell in Love with Michigan." This is obviously a grandma who has created this blog about her life. And she visited Michigan, and she's got 3 different articles about that visit on her blog. And they're all coming up within the top 20 of a Google search for Alcona. But in everything that she talks about, she visited everything, probably as close as 5 miles to us right now, but didn't mention Alcona at all. She could very easily have done. Now, this particular individual, she was invited by the Michigan Tourism Office, and her expenses were paid for her on condition that she wrote about the region on her blog. And again, you get specialists in tourism marketing. They'll tell you those are the types of things that you have to do. You have to invest some. You have to do what they call fan trips to get outside people that are influencers in tourism to come in and experience what you have to offer, and they go out and sell it for you by talking about it, writing about it, and so on and so forth. Another one that came up is a Pinterest site. Again, on that general Google search for the area, Pinterest that talks about Michigan travel. Anyone that has an interest in Michigan travel. This, if anyone knows Pinterest, this will go on for miles if you keep scrolling up. Miles, literally. And it starts to repeat itself a little bit. Beautiful pictures of the state. There is not one of Alcona or Alcona County on that Pinterest site. Not one. So then we have to talk a little bit about how we market destinations, and I talked a little bit about that. You can't market until you have your brand, so I'm actually putting the cart before the horse a little bit now, but I'm going to reference it now because I'm going to let Nick take over. Destination marketing will turn tourism into a key driver of socio-economic progress in communities through export revenue, the creation of jobs and enterprises, and infrastructure development. This language is written more for big cities, but it's relevant to any size of entity that is trying to attract visitors or tourism. Marketing a destination connects the visitor experience with the quality of life of residents in the community. And that's absolutely key to this. You don't want to change your identity. You need to be proud of what you are, but you've got to invite the outside world in so that they can experience your culture as well. Because not everybody lives their lives the way we do, but we want to share that with them, and we want them to come in and experience it. This is key as far as economic development goes and sustainability. Research shows that a 10% increase in a destination's visitor-related employment, and specific employment, not just dollars spent, tends to be followed by a 1.5% increase in employment in other sectors of the region within 2 years. That's a research fact that was a study that was done by Oxford Economics across the entire United States. And those percentages are pretty consistent. So if we can drive visitor and tourism business into our area that results in a 10% increase in employment to support that, overall employment should grow by at least 1.5% in the next 2 years. And that's going to benefit all of us. Anybody that has a business here will win from that situation. When you develop a brand strategy, and again, this is moving into Nick's territory, and I don't want to step on his toes because he really is the expert, but from my standpoint, when we talk about destinations, a brand strategy must clearly define the entity's values and promises and ensure stakeholders understand what is required of them to deliver on those promises and values. And essentially, in this situation, we're all stakeholders in this. And this is why we have to come to agreement on what that's going to be, collectively agree with it, and then collectively promote it. A brand strategy ensures the brand is ready for every eventuality, with a crisis plan to address issues of potential economic impact. You think about some of the bigger cities that have had major struggles. New York after 9/11, which is a classic example. Tourism shut down, visitors shut down. In this area, the depression that we just went through 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, that pretty much shut us down as a community. We have been depressed, and we're only now just starting to pull out of that. But this is the time to start investing now, because we're seeing that upturn. We've reached the bottom, and we're pulling ourselves out. And this is where we need to take advantage of it. A brand strategy ensures all stakeholders are pulling in the same direction. And that's key. A brand strategy will ensure integration and engagement, not individual tactics. A brand strategy ensures time isn't wasted on standalone tactical initiatives implemented at the whim of an individual stakeholder. And what that means basically is, when we're in the position we are right now, where there is no cohesiveness between any of the businesses, assets, attractions, opportunities within the county, if we continue to allow one entity, whether it be Chrismart or Alcona Motors or whatever, to go off on their own, or even use other resources to promote just themselves as a destination, or to believe that they can do a promotion of Alcona County in a different way to what we all agree to, it's going to fail. And it's going to fail miserably. And yes, they will win in the short term because they will get that short-term gain, but in the long term, it's going to continue to set the region back further and further. Okay? Again, I apologize for lecturing to you, but I wanted to get my points across quickly. As an outsider, this is what I found, and this is what everybody else is going to find if we try to do something to grow this community. The Farm to Fork program is not unique. It's a wonderful program, but there are many other similar entities around the country. Might be called different names. So if we really want this to be a sustainable project, which it should be, because this is the perfect region for it, then we've got to find ways to make sure that that sustainability element is there. We've got to look at the region. We've got to find a way to ensure that that traffic is coming through and in on a regular basis. Just our own community is not going to support this Farm to Fork on its own. An attraction would do it, potentially. But caution-wise, you focus on a festival, you're looking at one weekend. You've got 51 other weekends in the year that you've still got to keep that traffic driving through to keep that economic boom going. So we can't be one thing to everybody. The Dark Nights program that you mentioned, it's a wonderful promotion for this area, but again, it's a niche market. And we can't collectively say, well, we want to market to 20 different groups and have 20 different programs going. We don't have the resources or the money to do that. So we have got to come to some sort of agreement where we can say, okay, what can we all buy into that might be seasonal, where we can maybe handle 4 to 6 programs and find a way to make it work. All right? Now we need to talk about the brand specifically, and this is where we need your heads. So Nick, it's over to you.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
We just go around and tell who they're representing, because we don't know who the next is. And I'd like to know.
I think that's a great idea. We probably should have done that at the very beginning, because I'm conscious of people's time.